Hey guys, welcome back, Bushcraft, with another video. Yeah, it's one of those days. I figured I would put this video out there. Kind of talked about it with multiple different versions of this type of video. But I think it needs to be put out there so somebody that is listening, it may pop in their head that they might need to get ready for something like this. And I'm not saying, you know, wishing the world ends and this and that and total darkness and we have to all, because I like living here in a nice warm house or a nice air conditioning house and, you know, have running water and, you know, don't have to pee in a bucket or a hole. But there's a reality to, chances are one day that could all go away. And the more that we live like we're living now, and it's getting worse, technically, even though everybody thinks we're getting better, it's actually getting worse because we're leaving behind all that knowledge and our forefathers put into this country and this being to where we're reliant on technology, reliant on, you know, the government, we're reliant on everything but ourselves and our minds. I put a video out a while back about how hard it is to have water when there's no grid, there's no running water, there's nothing. That say you have a water source, but it's not drinkable. The process in doing this takes hours because you have to go out, you have to get the firewood, you have to get enough firewood to last to bring said water to, you know, to boil, to sterilize it. Then you have to pour this water in the other containers. And, you know, you have to make sure those containers are clean. And that's, you know, the process of getting this firewood and whatnot. Firewood is very easy to find when you're new to an area. But eventually, all the loose branches and all the fallen trees will eventually get used up. And then you have to travel further and further out to get firewood. Now imagine if you're in that area for a long period of time, the travel that you have to do to go get wood. And it takes longer and longer to get that water to where you can drink it for a day or two. That's just, you know, that's just one thing. That's just water. We're not talking about food. We're not talking about, you know, security. We're not talking about, you know, shelter. All these things that we take for granted. You know, the number one thing it would be to bug in, as they say, is stay where you're at because that's where all your food is. You know the environment around you, you know, where you can walk through your house blindfolded and know where things are, most of us, besides stubbing our toes a few times. But the fact is, we know this, and we know the area around our house and stuff like that. But chances are if you're in a city or in a little town or close to a town, you may not be able to stay there, or it may get overrun. Whatever the case may be, you may have to leave. You may want to head towards family, other family members, so you can combine your efforts together. Or you may run into a group that needs, your specialty. It could be sewing, it could be woodworking, it could be metalworks, all kinds of different things. They might need. Oh, I'm sorry, still got that cold. But these are things that you got to take in stride. Most people think, well, I'm staying here, I'm never going to leave. They're set in their ways. That sounds good when it's nice and comfy in your house and whatnot. But what happens if you don't have a roof? You don't have a house, it could be burnt down. You could be out getting water and bringing it back and come back and all of your stuff is gone. There's many scenarios within this that could just be devastating to you. And you could want just to give up. You could just go in a corner and lay down and never wake up. But a lot of us have that drive to where we want to survive. We want to try, Life is very important. It's a gift from God, and you just don't want to throw it away. And majority of, I'm spoiled with AC, I remember growing up, what is an air conditioner? What is that thing? I've never heard of such a thing. I was lucky that we had a fan sometimes, let alone going into an air conditioning building. Well, that was like space age technology or something. But, and these are just little minute things that you have to think about. Let alone figuring out how things are with people. Learning little mannerisms, like walking down a path and you see somebody else and you have to keep your eye on them, but you don't stare at them, because that could be threatening. You have to be able to anticipate what would happen if they jumped out at you or something. You have to have 2 escape plans, or you have to have 2 exits. What if there's somebody over there? The brain always has to be thinking 10 steps ahead. And this just, again, one little thing in the whole scheme of surviving after, whatever the scenario is, shift, fallout, power grid collapse, or, any number of these things that always pop up. But it's something to kind of go through in your head. And while we are in these wonderful places where we have this internet and we have all these books and knowledge and things like this, is when we should be honing these skills that would come in handy. And if we never use them, you're still using that brain that keeps you, learning things. And too often we just look at all the survival skills that these generations, the 80s, the 90s, early 2000s, 2010, 2020. Now we're getting ready for 2026. How many survival skills have been just lost in the wayside because, we don't teach this stuff anymore because, we have all this technology that does everything for us. The process of getting food, what to eat, how to cook. The funniest thing, I watch a lot of survival shows where it's a fresh person that's never done anything outside of a city limits or anything, and they give them all the tools to survive, and they can't even open a can because they don't know what the little can opener is where you have to twist it to open a can. They're banging on it and everything because they don't know how to work it. And that's so sad. Let alone kids today don't even know how to cook, let alone make a fire. I so love going over some of the things in my bug out bags, but there are so many critics out there that critique every little thing. And again, I don't think there is a set list or a set bug out bag for everyone that everyone has to have. The bug out bag should mimic the person's that is wearing it, that has to live in that bag. These are just little things that we would have to overcome in bad times like this, when there's no running water, no sanitary type things going on, making a bar of soap, having something to clean your dishes with. If you don't have soap and water, or if you have water but you don't have no soap and stuff, how did people wash their dishes back in the day? One of the best things is sand from the riverbank. I've washed many dishes like this. It works good, But everybody, grab the Dawn. I can't clean this dish. There is no Dawn. Dawn's done gone. There's so many things that we overlook because, if we need toilet paper, we need paper towels, We didn't have them paper towels back in the day. There was a rag on the handle of the silverware drawer or the refrigerator handle. There was a rag there that we wiped our hands or we wiped the counter. And when it was dirty, it got clean with the rest of the stuff. Nowadays we just, and throw it away. We got paper plates. We got, disposable this and disposable that. We are so spoiled. We need to, I kind of want to do more of these videos to wake people up a little bit. But this video is just to give everybody a little jolt, so to speak, and just sit here after this video is over. Think about what if what I'm saying actually happened. How would you survive? Think about it. How would you survive? And if your first thought is, oh, I've got this and I've got that, and yeah, I stay in my house and do this and I'd be fine. When you're overconfident that much, and you have never done this, I hate to say it, you're going to be one of the statistics. You're going to be one of the 90% of the population that does not make it. It's sad, but it's true. If your first thought is, I'm not worried about it. I got this, and I've got this fancy bug out bag. I got all this. I got a solar this, and you've got answers for every little thing. You won't make it. I'm just putting it out there. Till next time, like always, God bless.